going to do just a quick video in my truck about what's happening. I was doing some research, doing some notes on why 70% of Americans can't afford $1,000 emergency in 2025. So anyways, I'm going to do a quick talk as I drive here. A little exciting. But as everybody knows, if you've been following the channel, I had gone to this event, Rebel Capitalist. I'm working on videos on everything that I learned. I've been people that I networked, whole 9 yards, super pumped, super excited, really diving into some things that opened my eyes on stuff, which I'll go into. But really, what really spurred this on was yesterday, as I was at my desk working, I was going over some bills, going over some things I had to pay, and I just looked at my insurance, and I was going, holy, I mean, this is getting insane. This one insurance policy I had doubled. I mean, I looked at it and I was like, wait, it went from what to what? And I was like, this can't be right. So I called the insurance agent and tried to figure out what was going on. And yeah, I mean, it literally, one insurance policy doubles in a year. And I was going, this just does not make any sense. So I'm working through that. But anyways, that got me on a tangent, got me all fired up about a bunch of other things, looked at other bills. And if you ever sit down and look at your bills, you're going, this is nuts. So I went over the electric bill. I went over just a bunch of different things. So now I'm kind of hypersensitive to what things are costing. I am looking at, investments. I'm looking at businesses. I'm looking at different things. I'm always looking at things that involve money and how money flows. But bringing it down to the level of your own independent self. And, I guess it's probably been about 9 months. I've been hearing this statistic out there about the average middle-class America family cannot afford an $1,000 emergency. And I've been, I shouldn't say preaching, but I've been really pushing on this for a long time about, having a 4 to 6 month, safety valve, basically, savings, whatever you want to call it, emergency fund, that if something were to happen with your job or anything else. And I kind of looked at it and I go, am I that conservative? Am I that different than everybody else? Well, I look at that and it's 70%. It's staggering to me. So the add fuel to the fire. My wife and I were talking, and we're talking about doing something, and she said, well, you would have to have X number of dollars right now that you could write a check. She's like, can you do that? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And she's like, oh, you can? She's like, I can't. And I said, well, I always make sure that I have funds available in case I need them for anything that might pop up. And I am the safety valve. So in relationships, it seems like you have a saver and a spender. I used to sit down with couples and do financial planning all the time. And you want to talk about creating a fight. I used to tell people, the financial planning's free, the marriage counseling is triple. And it always seemed to really play out that way. Now, people, the way they handle money, treat money, a lot it's very personal. It's sometimes can be gender differences. Sometimes it's the male, sometimes it's the female. It's kind of sprinkled about in different ways. But what is truly consistent is that people feel differently about money, how they save it, how they spend it, what they spend it on, all those types of things. But when it comes down to it, emergencies happen. And when it looks like 70% of people can't afford a $1,000 mishap, I mean, that could be 2 front tires. It could be, your car breaking down. I mean, $1,000 does not go far anymore on emergency. It could be a hot water heater at your house. It could be just a part in labor for something to deal with your HVAC system. I mean, I could think of probably a million different ways $1,000 could come up as an emergency tomorrow. So I stopped at the gas station, I filled my truck up, and I put $70 worth of gas. And I looked at the price of the gas, and it was $2.74. I'm going, well, that's better than $3. And I'd made a list up of everything that inflation has taken really and gone crazy with. And one of the things on the list that has deflated has been the cost of energy and gasoline. Now, I pause to say energy because I live in a state, in their ultimate wisdom, what they decided to do was so they look green to everybody else in the United States, was to shut down all their power plants and buy, so they can say that this state doesn't buy, and I'm not talking California, but it's a California-like state. So they can say that they are green. We now purchase our energy out of state from coal producers, natural gas producers, and everything else that we used to have within our state. We now buy, so now we buy at a higher rate. So our power bill. So not everybody's energy prices have gone down. So that's the one thing, is that we see the silly games that everybody plays. Well, what really spurred me to do this video is the fact that I'm sitting next to a bag of food that I stopped to pick up sandwiches for my in-laws that happen to be watching my kids because they're out of school and today's daddy daycare, and I had a meeting that I had to go to. So I asked my in-laws to help me out, and what's interesting is the fact that sandwiches for 3 adults and 1 child came to $65. And I'm going, no wonder people can't afford $1,000 mistake. So anyways, my top headlines in this video is, are you one of these 70% of the people that can't afford that? And what would you do, and how would you do? I mean, what would you do if that was the case? So I'm calling this first point here the Great Deception, and it's why economic headlines lie. And I'm doing some research now on unemployment, and they're talking about that's the one metric that past administrations, current administrations have been hanging their head on to say that we're not in a recession, that the unemployment numbers are great. Well, when you break it down, it really looks like the real unemployment for a middle-class person is probably somewhere in the low to mid 25% rate. And you go, well, how can it be that much different? Well, a lot of people that are falling in middle class these days, they don't have just one job. They have multiple jobs. Or if they are a multi-income or a multi-person family income, they could have 4 to 5 jobs between 2 people. So there's a huge underemployment crisis going on now, where just today I heard 8,000 IBM workers are getting laid off. So it is really it's crazy. I wrote a thing in here that if you make $75,000 a year in America today, you're technically middle class. But here's what the government won't tell you: you're probably one emergency away from financial disaster, and you're not alone. 70% of Americans can't handle that $1,000 surprise expense. How did we get here? And I look at, as I drive down the highway, and this is why I did this driving. It's been raining here for days upon end, and I've been missing going out and walking. So today I might actually get out and do some walking. But as I drive on the highway, I turn and look at everything, right now I am getting passed by a Infinity QX80. I wonder how much that thing. In fact, I should look up and see what that cost. That vehicle. There goes a Mercedes. I look at just the expense of the vehicles in which we drive today. I'm not the most frugal person in the world, but my pickup truck, it's a 2010 Toyota Tundra with 260,000 miles on it. Been bought, paid for a long time ago. I looked at my own immediate family. I drive the oldest vehicle in my entire family. I'm not looking for a pat on the back or anything, but I like my truck a lot more being paid off than the payment book or that monthly payment that I have to pay out if I were to get a newer car. What would I change about my pickup truck? There's nothing I would change about it. In fact, if I got a newer truck, I don't know that I would like it as much. Maybe it's because I finally got a point in my life to where I'm comfortable with who I am and what I do, and I don't need something that is a status symbol. As I drive and I look at houses, now I build houses, I remodel them, and invest in them. I look at some of the sizes of houses. One of the things that I've been working on the past couple days from getting back from Rebel Capitalist is looking at purchasing more real estate, because I will give kudos to Jason Hartman. He has moved my barometer on whether it's a good time or not to buy real estate, and I haven't gotten my overall, but he's changed my barometer. I guess when you work in something that you're really close to, you might think that it's never a good time. The market is always terrible. But anyways, I'm doing some research on that. I just left a job site that I'm looking at getting involved with, and we're taking down a house that was built in the early 1800s. We got to do an archaeological dig because it used to be a port where this house was. We got to do all this work. The new owners want to take the house down, and they want to build a new house on it. And it's a husband and wife, and they're building. I think it comes out to with conditioned spaces around 8,500 square feet, and with your decks and everything else, you're probably up around 12,000 square feet of total area of house to be built. It's on the water. It's a good spot. Everything else, and I'm looking at it going, man. Even if I had the money to do it, I wouldn't do it. And the reason is because I don't want to take care of it. Because the older that I get, the more that I realize is that the things in which we have, we become the caretaker for. We become the person that has to clean it, maintain it, pay insurance on it, all those things. The older I get, the less I am willing to want to do that for those things. Whether it's a boat or whether it's some kind of toy, four-wheeler or a jet ski or anything like that. I know now why a very wise man once told me, if it flies, if it floats, or if you want to have fun with it, it's better off to rent it than it is to buy it. And I'm quickly jumping in that camp of agreeing with that philosophy and mentality. So again, the reason why I started this whole thing, I have like 7 pages that I've put together of ideas and thoughts on this whole thing about how people cannot afford. And there's so much. I saw this back in 2000, 99, 98, that time when I was working in finance and working as a money manager. I would go on appointments to people's houses, and I would see how people lived, and I would sit down with them and look at and basically create a income sheet and a financial statement for them to find out what their assets and liabilities were, find out what their expenses were, find out what their residual income was, find out, just put everything in order. And I remember the more I would get to know people, it was eye-opening that how many people are living off of credit cards. This whole buy now, pay later thing that's going on. Anyways, I don't want to sound like a doomer or any of that things. It's not what I'm trying to sound like. What I'm sounding like is I look at individuals, I look at myself, and I look at, well, can I afford $1,000 crisis in my household? My answer is yes. Does that put me in the 30% of middle income earners in the middle class? Does that put me in that 30%? Is that a metric? Does that make me in a better spot? Is it now because I don't spend as much money as everybody else? I don't think that's the case, because I just bought a bag of food for $65 for lunch. So my expenses, I just filled my truck up. I just, working on my insurance, all my expenses are all the same. Again, I've always adopted the philosophy. I've always bought the cheapest house in the most expensive neighborhood I could find. It's served me well. Over the time in which I lived in it, I've always fixed it up and brought it up to where it was one of the nicer homes in that neighborhood. So I would get that appreciation of just the natural neighborhood in the location aspect of it. Where I'm looking at a lot of people that I do work for on the project management side is they don't do that. They actually, because they want it and they want it now, is they will often take a house that's a nice house and redo it and overextend what that neighborhood is, and start to turn that neighborhood into something that it wasn't. It was never designed to be, and they we call it overdeveloping it, and that's why I don't do rental houses, because I would probably overdevelop it, because the techniques and the things that I'm used to building, I'm a one and done. I've always said that you pay for things at some point in time. You either pay now or you pay later, and I think that really holds true. Again, and with any type of management, you can manage poor contractors, you can manage poor subs, you can try to manage poor materials, but the bottom line is at some point in time it will come back to get you. You will pay for it either up front or on the backside of it, and it depends on what someone's game plan is. As far as an $1,000 emergency fund, that should be the bare minimum. Everybody should have much more than that. If you're one of those 8,000 people that lost their job at IBM, maybe they gave you a package to where you get paid for the next 4 months, 6 months. You might get some type of parachute that bridges the gap, but eventually you got to figure out going forward, what is your game plan? What are you going to do? How am I going to survive? Because the expenses keep coming. It keeps getting more expensive. Out of all the items that I've looked at so far, there's only 2 of them that have gone down, and the rest of them have gone up, and some of them as much as 100% in those categories. Anyways, I hope you're getting something out of my little drive here. The sun's coming out. I'm planning on finding a nice place to walk, talk, and go over all of these points. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.